Hi, I'm Rick Maurer, and welcome to this Change Without Migraines series of videos. If you don't know me, my work has focused on two major questions for the last 25 years, and that's why do people support us and why do they resist us? And in particular, why do they support us when we have a new idea, or why do they resist us? So it's a major change, a major project, whatever. If it needs the support of other people, what's going on and what gets in the way of that? And I've written a couple books about it. And a couple years ago, I started doing a bunch of interviews with leaders and fellow consultants just to see what's going on in their world. Are changes more successful now than they were a number of years ago? And on and on and on. And during one of the interviews, I was talking to a leader who I have a lot of respect for. In fact, it's somebody that I will listen to when I need advice. And I said, hey, imagine that we're not in the office right now, but we're having dinner and having a drink. And I say, hey, how's that project going? And she looked at me and said, why don't they get it? Now, is a substitute for whatever your favorite profanity is. And we both laughed, but then she went on to talk about just how frustrating it was when people weren't getting what she was talking about. And this is somebody who's a good communicator, by the way. And so I would tell other people that story, and they would laugh, and then they would start using profanity as they would tell me about projects. And as entertaining as that was to me, I thought, what is going on? I mean, I've got a shelf full of really good books and plans on good change and project management, books on influence. They're consulting practices and training companies just dedicated to that topic, and yet the failure rate still seems to be really high. We don't build support like we need to or sustain it. And so I started wondering about that. We got all these resources. Most of you, I suspect, have had tons of training and have some books of your own on the shelf. What's going on? I love sports. And there's a phrase in sports called an unforced error. And that is when the ball drops in front of the player and they miss it not because they don't know how to catch the ball. They miss it because they're not paying attention, or they're paying attention to something else rather than this. And I think that quite often we fail to get the support, the energy, the forward momentum we need because we're paying attention we're so focused on the technical part and the financial part of the plan, we forget the people part. So there's an image I've been using with clients lately, and maybe you'll find it helpful. I think of a good barista. So I love coffee, and I go to our local coffee shop, and I get in line, and they say, what do you want? And I say, I'll have coffee with cream or coffee black or whatever. Invariably, there's somebody in line ordering a latte. Never once have I heard that person say, yeah, give me a latte and hold the milk. Because you don't do that. A latte is a blend of espresso and milk. You can't have a latte if either of those ingredients is missing. And a good barista blends them together so you can't tell where the coffee ends and the milk begins. That's the way I think our change strategies ought to work. That we need to cover the technical aspects and the financial aspects and all of that, but we need to blend in the human part. So rather than just having some big special event, or you may have been in these meetings, I seem to go to a lot of them, there's a big town hall meeting and the people present, they've got this whole slew of people up there presenting to the town hall, whereas the people in the town hall are just an audience. And then at the end, almost invariably, they go, whoa, boy, wow, where did that time go? Well, we got a couple minutes left. You got any questions? And that's their version of involvement. You got any questions? Well, no, that's not involvement. What I plan to do in this Change Without Migraines series of videos is tell you short stories, short success stories, where a leader or a group has done a really good job of blending the technical, financial part of the plan with the human part, so that the human part wasn't an add-on, an afterthought, an extra thing you had to do. And sometimes it'll be kind of in response to something that they went, oh, that was a mistake, like the one that I'm about to tell you. Sometimes it'll be they actually blended it in right from the beginning. So it'll be a short story, and then I'll say, here's why I think that's so important, at least why it's important to me. And after most of these, I will offer you a page that has the kind of the key points in case you want to use it. And all that'll be free, of course. All right, so here's the index card story. This leader had come up with this idea for improving quality. And he went to all the people who were on the floor, the non-management staff, and said, here's what the issue is. I'd like your help in, making improvements here and there. And people got excited about it. What he failed to do was involve supervisors and managers. All right. So right away, he realized that was an oversight. He knew it because he was getting a lot of pushback. So here's what he did. And I think it was actually quite brilliant. He gave out a couple of index cards to all the management staff and said, look, I'm going to have a meeting with all of you next week, about 100 people. He said, I would like you to write down any questions, concerns, ideas you have regarding that project. Do not sign your name, and please get it to my office a couple days before the meeting. So, gets into the meeting. By the way, I was at the meeting for a completely different purpose. I was giving a speech later on that morning. So this was all a surprise to me, and it's a delightful surprise, by the way. And so he walks up in front of the room, and instead of slides, he's got this stack of cards. So apparently, it's the actual stack of cards, what he got. And so he reads the first one, and he reads it verbatim. And the first one, let's say, was just a point of clarification. So he would clarify. Other cards were really critical. And in some instances, he would say, yeah, you're right. And here's what I'm thinking of doing to improve that. Other times he said, you're right, and I don't know what to do about that. I could use some ideas. And then other times he'd say, I understand why this is so important, but I've got to go this other way. Here's why. Well, the amazing thing is the guy just seemed totally candid about stuff. I mean, he wasn't being politically correct. He wasn't trying to give people something so they didn't quite know what was going on. He seemed to really want to communicate with them. What a concept, huh? And the most amazing thing happened. Within about 15 minutes, people started raising their hands. Up to that point, people were able to sit back comfortably, having him respond to these cards that were done anonymously. But people started raising their hands, and let's say the guy's name was Bill, and they say, hey, Bill, before you go on, I want to pick up on that concern on that last card, because I have something related to that. And Bill goes, yeah, go ahead. And I started watching a conversation start. I mean, just a dialogue with him and other people. And they would still use the cards, but basically it was a conversation rather than him responding just to cards. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. All right. And it's, 99 cents, or at least that was what it would have cost when I saw him do this kind of thing. Now, there's some reasons why I think that is so good and such a good example of blending stuff in. One, obviously he didn't catch it soon enough, but he caught it. He did catch it soon enough. He didn't catch it right at the beginning, but he was able to respond to it, I think, honestly, in a way that could actually build his credibility. All right. So he wasn't denying it. He wasn't trying to say to people, well, you're all wet, you're blah, 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 blah. All right. One of the things he did is he asked for anonymous comments. Now, he could have done a survey, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I happen to like the thought that he's giving people index cards. I mean, what could be homelier than that? What could be cheaper than that? What could be more informal than that? Yeah, I'll write that down. And oh yeah, don't sign your name. So really safe. When he asked to have them send it to his office a couple days before the meeting, that was brilliant. Imagine if he hadn't done that, and he's got this stack of cards, and he gets something, and he starts to go ballistic, and steam is coming out of his ears. He could blow that entire meeting. So in this way, he had a chance to review what the comments were. But if something was going to really set him off, he had a chance to do some deep breathing, call his therapist, do whatever he needed to do. So when he walked into that meeting, he could be calm, and he could be present, and he could actually engage with people. Right? Another thing he did brilliantly, he carried the cards in. He did not reduce all of that information to bullet points that were up on a slide. Now, there may be a time for the bullet points later on. Right now, I think it was far more effective to say, this is what you said. this is what you ask me in your own words. Because as soon as we start to digest that information and go, here are the 5 major points, it can cause people to go, I wonder what he's leaving out. I wonder if that really is capturing what I had to say. That sort of thing. I think all of that was so simple and so brilliant. And it's just watching him and watching the group, I think it was a very effective meeting. Now, what I did is I put together a page. If you like it, it just says, here's some things that stood out to me, and here's how you do it. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. And just send me an email, and I'll be glad to send it to you. Obviously, there's no charge for that. This whole series of videos, and I'm going to try to keep them really short, are going to be simple, one example, and then my reflections on it. And so if you like it, I hope you'll hit like so that you can be reminded when the next one appears. And by all means, spread the news, share it with your friends if you like it. And please leave me comments too. So thanks a lot for watching.